I know many of you are on the fence in terms of whether to create a new YouTube channel. So whether or not you have enough time, whether you have enough resources, whether or not you have the right equipment. So I decided to create this new series where I give you actionable advice and tactics so you can get started on your YouTube journey right now. The first episode of this series is talking about 3 simple things you need to keep in mind when you are creating a new YouTube video. I'm not even talking about creating a new channel or anything. It's just if you want to create a new YouTube video today, right now, what are the 3 things you have to keep in mind in order to succeed and in order to create the best content that you can do? The first thing to keep in mind, anytime you're making a video, the number 1 thing that you should be thinking about is the title and the thumbnail. This is something that most people don't realize because whenever you think about creating a new video, everybody's thinking about the content. And I think that's fair, right? The video is the content. So of course you want to do the best. But what you have to understand is in order to differentiate yourself from the competition, when you're thinking about ideas, you're not even filming yet, you need to think about what the video title and the thumbnail is. Those are the things that people are going to be looking at when it comes to whether or not they decide to click on the video before anything else. If your title and your thumbnail is not captivating enough, it doesn't matter how good your content is because they won't be able to see it. The second thing you really want to take care of is when you create content now on YouTube, you really want to think about repurposing content. And what I mean by that is now with the introduction of YouTube Shorts and how it's been helping a lot of people grow on the platform, you want to think about if I am investing this time, money, and resources into creating this one video, what can you do to repurpose parts of the video? Can you cut out clips from it? Can you make it into different parts so that you'll have more assets on hand? This thought process is really important and it's helped my channel a lot in terms of getting a lot more viewership because by thinking in terms of short form content along with long form, that's when you can really take your content and make the most out of it. You can also repurpose it on the other platforms without you having to stand in front of the camera again and film. The last thing you want to think about is visualizing who your audience is down to the T. Always do this when it comes to creating content and when it comes to finding clients, etc. But a client of mine actually showed me how she even named her target demographic. She has a name for them. And that's the way that she thinks. She thinks about, this is how she spends her day. This is what she's thinking. This is what her insecurities are. This is what she's worried about. And I realized that is such an amazing way when it comes to really understanding who you're speaking to and who your audience is. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to run a quick analogy, a quick example, because I want to provide as much value as possible. So I'm going to use cooking as an example when it comes to applying these 3 simple tactics. The first tactic that I talked about was really understanding the title and the thumbnail that you're going to be using. Remember, when YouTube is this saturated, those are the most important things. Now, for cooking, let's say if I'm teaching about how to cook a steak, I want to make sure that the title has attention-grabbing elements that people want to see. And that's why people always talk about niching down. When it comes to cooking a steak, what are some pain points that you can address? Tenderness, cooking convection oven versus cooking with a stove. All of those things can be put in the title. Now for the thumbnail, think about what is something that can be really captivating. Is it going to be the slice of the steak going through and showing kind of the meat? Or is it going to be just showing how it's marbling and what the process of that one is? Or is it going to be showing the final result of the steak being placed on a plate and how delicious and how delectable and how much you want to eat it? Like that's also a part of the process. Now for the second point, when you're thinking about repurposing, that's the same thing when it comes to this video talking about how to cook a steak. When you're making the video, you want to think, first you actually want to frame it so you can repurpose it for vertical content. And as you can see, even for this video right now, I have it so that I'm centered in the middle, just in case if I can actually reuse any of these topics here and repurpose it. For the steak example, it's actually similar, where first the framing, that's the most important thing, but also if you're talking about different tips about how to cook a steak, those can easily work as its own short form content. And then that short form content can be used to funnel back into your main long form content and your video, which can then help your YouTube channel. Let's say in the beginning of the video, you talk about how much oil to add or how much salt that you might add onto the pan. That itself can be a standalone short form content that can be repurposed into a short, into a reel, into a TikTok, because of the fact that it's short form, but it's still informative and still entertaining. Now for the third point, which is talking about how to visualize your audience so you can make the best content possible. Think about cooking a steak and think about who are you exactly targeting. Are you targeting people who are trying to get a good bang for their buck, which means a steak that is good but also not that expensive? Maybe it's cooking a delicious steak for under $15 or under $20 if that's possible. That can be one way that you can really visualize and see exactly who you're trying to target as the audience. The other thing maybe the consumer is looking for is maybe they're looking for healthier alternatives for steaks. Like most of the examples of recipes out there might be really fattening, and they're looking for a healthier one. I actually don't know because I'm not, that's not my expertise there, but that's just an example that you can also think about when it comes to creating content. One more example would be, is it a stove, like a traditional gas stove, or a convection oven? Maybe people are struggling with using a stove, or using a normal stove, gas stove, or they're struggling with a convection stove. And you can think about, okay, this person that I'm talking to, I'm teaching them how to cook a steak. Are they struggling with this or that? And how can you help that person specifically? That's one thing that I've noticed that really helps me and the creators that I work with, to help them visualize like what exactly are they dealing with. That's gonna be it for today's video. 3 things that you need to keep in mind right now before making a YouTube video. And if you follow these 3 tactics, I know that you're gonna be able to create some great content. I look forward to seeing your content very soon. Thank you so much for watching, and make sure to tune in for the rest of the series. Otherwise, I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.